At the end of the world, end of the world. At the end of the world, end of the world. At the end of the world, end of the world. At the end of the world, end of the world.
Hello and welcome to the 13th episode of the podcast Knitting Abroad. This is a podcast about knitting and yarn. As today, much about yarn because it was an Edinburgh Yarn Festival. You find my interwebs on www.knittingabroad.com. There you find all the show notes. And if you like more to see them on Ravelry, you find them on my Ravelry page, the Knitting Abroad podcast. There you find me as Knit Abroad because Knitting Abroad was taken. And on Instagram you find me on @knittingabroad. All should be there. And yeah, if you are a returning viewer, welcome again! And if you're a new viewer, cool that you found me. I'm currently living in Sweden, and for those who saw this, I recorded this, so today's episode also in Swedish, because I wanted to try if this is easier. So I'm doing the same job now again, and I'm hoping I do not forget something. As I said, this episode is going to be much about Edinburgh, but I have also finished objects, and I almost can't believe it. There are 3 pieces. And the first one is my white sweater I'm wearing. I finished it before Edinburgh, so I have worn it on Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and therefore it's a little bit wonky now. Especially when you look at the sleeves, they are a little for short and wonky because I always had them like this. The yarn is Manduzana sock yarn. It's a Swedish hand dyer, and I totally love the colors. It's Pacific, the body, and the yoke is with Speckled number 3. I'm showing you the lace pattern. It's so beautiful. Although it is in speckled yarn and you not see the lace so good. I did it on purpose in speckled yarn because I thought I would make so many faults, but I just made 2, I guess, or 3, so no one sees it. Not only because of the yarn, because they are not there. And yeah, I really like the yarn now. At first I was a little skeptic because it was a little slippery and not so good for color work. But then I got better with it, and the only thing I have to say about the yarn, which is no bad thing, but it is good to know, the yarn shrinks a little bit while you wear it. So when I washed and blocked the sweater, the sleeves were exactly like this from the length, and now when you just have it, they're here. I don't know exactly why. I noticed it when I did swatch that the yarn doesn't bloom and it doesn't grow, so it is good to know that if you want maybe it's just this Manduzana sock yarn, I don't know about her other qualities, but this yarn in my case it shrinked a little bit when washed, and when you wear it, it not shrinks, but it goes a little together when you wear it. The size is medium, and I'm really happy with the size. It has the best length I had with a pullover since I knitted pullovers. And yeah, I totally like it. I also like that I found the right configuration for my camera. So if you noticed from the last episode, the light was, and now I found the right configuration. Yeah, I just had to read. Sometimes even teachers do not read or do not look at the things which are pointed in their face when they are on the display, the configurations, and you don't look at them. Yeah, forget this. As you see, light is now much better, and you see everything, and it's not only because the background is another one. I found the right configurations. Yeah, first finished object, and almost can't believe it, I have a second finished object, and those are my socks. The first socks in 2019. Ta-da! Knitted out of a sock blank from Limo Design. This is the rest of it. There are 42 grams left, so there are 58 grams knitted in the socks. So if I get some contrasting color, I can easily knit the second pair of socks out of it. This is mostly due to the fact that I didn't make a big heel, toe. Oh, I forgot how it is called, but you see it. The most people prefer it a little bit longer. I don't like it, so therefore, yeah. It took me ages because I knitted it on 2.25mm needles, and I don't like to knit with 2.25mm needles. But now they have the perfect size for my feet. I have 39 and I knitted all of my socks in 2.5mm needles, and every time I knitted vanilla socks, and I knitted them with the stitch count 60. They were a little bit big that I wanted to wear them in my shoes, and therefore I just wore them home, and that's a little bit, yeah, if you just wear your socks home, why? No. And yeah, now I got it with 2.25mm needles, and I can knit the sock patterns now, which everyone knits, because you don't have to switch the stitch count, and yeah. I just have to get comfortably, sorry, with the 2.25mm needles. The rest of the sock blank, it is a glittering sock blank, and I like how the color shifts. I am very excited to see how the other socks are turning out, and I shall see which contrasting color I would like to use. Yeah, the socks. Not much to say, only vanilla socks, 2.25mm needles. And the third finished object is my vintage Prim hat. Ta-da! It is the vintage Prim from Andrea and Mowry. I knitted it for and in Edinburgh, and I totally like the pattern. You have here the side with the construction, with the brioche construction, and there you have the back side, which is just gutter ridges. It is knitted out of Dyemystyle yarn into colorways, so those have just numbers, so you find them there. And it was my first project where I did pattern which increased and decreased stitches in brioche, and I'm very proud that I did it right, because yeah, first time. You can also reverse. Now in green. So it's just beautiful. I have enough yarn left to knit it again, and I definitely will do it. I swatched for it and I measured it, and it should turn out too little for my head, so I knitted it with a half needle size up, and now it's a little bit too big, but I think it's comfortably. This is no word. Maybe because it is no word for me. But it is cool and I like it, and yeah, I'm definitely going to knit one again. It's not blocked because I started to wear it in Edinburgh on my last day, and therefore took time to wash and block it, so we shall see how big it will be after it's blocked and washed and blocked. Yeah, vintage Prim. Andrea Mowry, wonderful pattern. It was so fast. I casted it on 2 days before I went on the flight and knitted it on the flight and a little bit at home after the festival, and it was... I like it because it's just one row thinking, and then it's 3 rows where you don't have to think about increasing and decreasing, and so for me it's a wonderful pattern because I don't have to think so much the whole time, so I can knit it at a festival where it's loud, or on a plane, or on a bus, or somewhere else without thinking, and it was wonderful. That was a wonderful knit for me for Edinburgh. Yeah, Edinburgh, so much yarn, but a little bit later. Now, works in progress. The first work in progress I wanted to show you is my fireplace raglan sweater. It is a sweater I'm knitting with my mom. Here is the progress I made. I don't know how much I had when I showed it last to you, but I'm going to mark it today so I can yeah, show you next time how much I knitted. This time I knitted the neckline in the same with the same needles as the whole sweater is going to be, because I wanted it to have it a little bit more loose, and I guess it's exactly that what I like, because I don't know even if I made the German twisted cast-ons, which is a loose cast-on, I don't have the necklines so loose as I want them, and therefore I decided to look if it's better to do it with the same needle size as the blower as the sweater is going to be. It's a simple raglan sweater and there's nothing more to say about it. Just I definitely like the color and the yarn. It is Let Loopy, and the color has also just a number, so you find it in the show notes. And it is rustic yarn, so it's not that fast knit when you knit with it on a needle size which is not so big. I knitted with 3.75mm needles, and when I knitted it's fast, but not so fast that I can say I'm going to finish it till my parents are, yeah, so this is not fast. I can knit faster. But when the yarn is very tight around the needles, it's not so, I cannot knit so fast. But I like that it's so tight because first I was getting the gauge which was written in the pattern. It is a free pattern from maschentext.de and it's in German. It is the first raglan sweater for my mom and she is much faster than me. But yeah, I knitted the Zweig first order for I have just so little of the sweater. Yeah, raglan sweater, plain knitting, vanilla sweater, could one say. So yeah, my fireplace raglan. The next work in progress is living in a new project bag I bought on Edinburgh Yarn Festival. It is a wonderful bag. Where have I? There. It is a wonderful bag of calico. I bought it on the Loop booth. I think it's just beautiful. And yeah, in it is living the Kuni Kuni shawl. I was lucky to get the course on the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and the one I had on Saturday was the Kuni Kuni shawl with Olga Chesinitz. And also she's such a good teacher, and I was also, when I haven't had the course, I would have not understand how the pattern works, and when you understood how the pattern works, it is not so difficult. But when you look at the pattern and when you look at the shawl, and yeah, it's not much what I have now, but it looks a little bit wonky, and not if it's going to be a shawl, but it is the Kuni Kuni shawl, and the name of the course was 3D knitting. And there is a structure in the shawl which has the front, which has those tacks, and there on the back side there is a normal structure which has just holes. There, holes. And she talked much about positive and negative space and about construction, and yeah, she's wonderful. And the shawl is going to look like that. And I learned much about how to count stitches and how to see stitches on your knitting and how much rows you knitted. I didn't pay so much attention about row counting, because when it is important for me to count rows, and it's very important for a pattern, I just make those. Yeah. I just should do notes and tick off the counts I have to make. But now I learned much more about knitting and about counting rows. The yarn is Alegria Manos del Uruguay, Saino. It is so beautiful. It is a brownish, blackish color, and it is not so easy to knit this pattern with the dark color, but I have not so much hand knitted shawls in a dark color, and therefore I thought, why not? The third work in progress I have to show you is currently living in my yarn bowl. And it is a project for the Pure Nature Call. Again, for you who want to be with us, the Pure Nature Call is till the 21st of June, and the only thing you have to do is to use plant-dyed or undyed skein of yarn. So if you have some, or if you want to buy some, I have also partners which you can find on the Ravelry page and on my own page. Just get your yarn and join the knit along with any pattern you like. I started Birds of a Feather shawl from Andrea Mowry, and there is the beginning. It is knitted out of this Corriedale plant dyed from Mirja's wool play, and the kid silk from Skein Queen, which I bought in Edinburgh. And the construction is very interesting because it makes this don't know how to call it, but in the middle it has this decreasing section, and there do you increase the stitches, and at the moment it's going to be symmetrical, but then on one point you're going to decrease just on one side, and so the shawl shifts a little bit. I have just 100 grams of the Corriedale yarn, so I have to adjust the pattern a little bit, so I'm going to make the stripes a little bit thinner so that I have enough yarn. This is the Corriedale yarn from Mirja's wool play, and this is the Skein Queen floof in blue, and they also look in together like this. The colorway from Mirja is purple is not my color. And yeah, I totally like how they are mixing, and this shawl is going to be beautiful. Living in the yarn bowl because I haven't decided where to put it, because the other project bag I bought on Edinburgh Yarn Festival is my pink hazel bag. I'm not paid for this advertisement, but I just like it. It's a pink hazel bag, and it's so cool. It has butterflies on it. I decided that butterflies are going to be my just wonderful. I like butterflies. Now it is empty because there is going to live my comfort cardigan in, but I not started with it because I have to finish a few projects before I start the next big project. So my comfort cardigan is going to live in this, but not now. Yeah, that was it for works in progress, and I thought I'd talk a little bit about the yarn I bought in Edinburgh, and a little bit also about the other course I took in Edinburgh, because this was a course from Kim McBrien Evans, and it was Secrets from the Skein. And how can you talk better about the course when you're showing some skeins? Yeah, Secrets from the Skein was a wonderful course which I took on Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and I loved to learn about the solid, short variegated, long variegated, self-striping yarns and which patterns they call for. I've bought far too much yarn on Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and first about the solids. The solids or semi-solids are, for example, these ones, which has just one color. Wonderful alpaca and cashmere. Totally out of my comfort zone, but totally in my it is so fluffy zone. Solids or semi-solids, they have just one color, which can be a little bit different because it's hand dyed yarn, but you have it like this. And then there's going to be there is self-strapping or self-patterning yarn. I didn't buy something of that category in Edinburgh because I was more out for speckles and fades, because yeah, when you buy fades, you need, as I need to see them exactly how they are and to feel them if you want to knit with them. And yeah, for me it's very difficult to buy fades on the internet. I bought for the comfort cardigan, I bought the fade from Fru Walk, who is a Swedish dyer, and I love her yarns and I love her, and it's just her yarns are so wonderful. But from her yarns I know how they turn out because I had some from her before I bought fade, and yeah, she chose some fade kits, so it was a little bit easier for me to choose my yarns because she made the proportion for that. So that was good. But for the other fades I bought, it was definitely better that I could lay my hands on them before I bought them and change yarns. And at the La Bien-Aimée booth, it was so wonderful because I was there and I chose 2 yarns, and I forgot which of the wonderful people, it was a woman who came to me and said, wait, I show you a yarn I would choose for this, and I definitely thought that she was right. And talking about that, I will show you that. My fade for La Bien-Aimée. And isn't it beautiful? Grey, brownish, green and green. And it's just so beautiful. And I wouldn't have used this one. I chose a little more grey and not speckled, but I think she had exactly the right color to choose. So it's not so big difference between those two. Totally in love with that. Yeah, back to the course. Kim McBrien Evans, sorry, is amazing. She knows so much about dyeing and about yarns, and I learned so much about how to see which yarn it is, and she showed us so much pictures of patterns and which yarn calls for which pattern. I bought till example, for example, this combination från Råspats och Bollmeise. And if you look a little bit at that, you don't see much of the blue in the speckled, in the variegated yarn, but you see some strands have exactly this color. And she showed us a pattern where you had a long variegated yarn and then a solid one which took up one color of this long variegated yarn and needed a shawl with it, and it was so beautiful that I decided I need some combination for that, and that is that. Yeah, short and long variegated yarn. Short variegated yarn and long variegated yarn, they differ in the way the colors change. So if it's a short variegated yarn, the pieces of color are shorter till the next color comes, and the long variegated, they are longer. So if you look at this one, this is a wonderful speckled yarn from Vicky Brown, short variegated, much color changes, short pieces. And long variegated yarn, I don't talk much about it because, yeah, it's not my course here, but I'm just so proud that I got that I could take the course. And long variegated yarn, for example, is this one. Till the next color comes, it is a long way. I hope I say it right. Yeah, I'm not good in getting the yarn again together. In the skein. Wow. This yarn, this wonderful pink, again totally out of my comfort zone, but I saw it and it was just perfect. It is a Ushidita yarn, and I bought 3 skeins of them. They are so friendly and so funny and so cool. Ushidita. And I bought the pink for this green. But I'm not sure if I will combine it with that or with that. And because I couldn't decide, but don't talk about me, about yarn and money. I'm never going to travel to Edinburgh Yarn Festival again because it was so much yarn and I don't need yarn for the next ages. But it was so cool and I met so wonderful designers and just wonderful. And I also bought a wonderful yarn from Easy Knits, Rainbow Noir. Isn't it cool? Ooh. And I was so glad that I met Julia from Hemma Wolf Yarns. She was so nice to have my buttons on her booth. And I have here a wonderful natural colorway from her. Oh, sorry. Hemma Wolf. And this is also going to be a project for my Pure Nature knit along. This is a natural colorway from her. Colorway light grey, Schafwolle 2. Yeah, Pure Nature call again. Knit with us till the 21st of June. All information's in the Ravelry group and on www.knittingabroad.com. And yeah. A little bit more about Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I also got a piece of art. West Knits sweater book. I have an autograph. It was such a pleasure to meet all the designers and buyers I know from the interwebs, and then I was there and could shake hands and say hello, and they were also so wonderful. And yeah, I think his book is a piece of art. I'm not sure if I'm going to knit much out of it because March of the Parents are a little bit too crazy for me, but this one, for example, is very cool, and I am definitely going to knit the Enchanted Mesa. Where is it? I should have put a bookmark in it. The Enchanted Mesa. I really like the construction, and when I look at that, it's just a piece of art when you ask me. Huh? The photographs, the constructions, the yarns. It is just a catalogue of art, and I like books and I like art, and therefore I bought it. Another book I bought is the new Pom Pom magazine. And yeah, I'm also one of those people who don't like to crochet, but when I saw this. I'm like all the others who don't like crocheting, because now I want to crochet. Exactly, isn't it beautiful? It is so beautiful, and therefore I have to crochet it. And there are also so many beautiful knits in it, and also I like the pom-pom magazines. Even if I'm not going to knit with them, they are also wonderful design. So I'm very looking forward to crochet or knit or whatsoever. But yeah, this was it for today's episode. Definitely going to Edinburgh again, but not to the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, because so again, as if I'm going again, I have to cut off all for 1 year so that I can afford it to go there again and buy yarn. I'm very glad that I do not spin, because if I was about spinning, more fibers, and oh my god. But the nature, Edinburgh as a city is wonderful, because you have so much gardens you can visit, and on the first day I was just there and going around in the city for a walk, sitting down, knitting, going again, so it was wonderful. And I definitely am going again to Edinburgh as a starting point to go further and explore all the nature you can have in Scotland and around Edinburgh. So definitely again, but maybe not at the time at the Yarn Festival. So much yarn, I love yarn, wonderful. Yeah, for today that was it, and I say thank you for watching. If you like the podcast, subscribe and thumbs up, and if you didn't like it, also okay, leave me comments what I can change that you may like it. I like very much to have feedback if it is constructive, and yeah, as I said, in English and in Swedish at this time, and maybe I can do it a few times more in both languages. Leave a comment what you think about it, and yeah, have a nice day, a happy weekend, and happy knitting. Bye!
I'll be gone for now, but you can still hear the sound of my voice.